Hello, everyone. Matt Clark, research analyst with Money and Markets here with another edition of the Marijuana Market Update. Before I start, after you're done watching this video, I want to make sure you head over to moneyandmarkets.com and sign up for our free daily e-letter. From Sunday to Saturday, you get a free e-letter going directly to your email, again, for free, that contains safe, sound, smart, simple, profitable investment information. You get it from myself, from Green Zone Fortune's co-editor Charles Sizemore, and from our chief investment strategist Adam O'Dell, plus many, many others. We have a team. We all work very, very hard to make sure we're providing you that information each and every day, even on Saturdays and Sundays and on holidays. So make sure you go to moneymarkets.com, sign up to get all that safe, sound, smart, simple, profitable investment information every day for free. Now, this week I want to talk about a pretty hot button topic that has the cannabis market kind of stirring a bit, and that is Mexican legalization. Now, back in November, Mexico's Senate of the Republic, which would be the equivalent of the U.S. Senate, if you will, passed a bill to legalize recreational cannabis use in the country. And then the Chamber of Deputies, which is the lower house of the legislature, or which would be equivalent to the House of Representatives here in the United States, passed the legislation with some changes, and they did that last week. Now the bill will go back to the Senate, where it's likely to be approved relatively quickly and then signed into law by Mexico's president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. But it didn't just come out of the blue, and this is kind of an important part of the story here. In 2015, the Supreme Court in Mexico ruled that prohibiting people from medical cannabis use was unconstitutional. Then 3 years later, the court ruled the same prohibition on recreational use was also unconstitutional. So the Supreme Court directed the Mexican legislature to pass and approve cannabis legalization, both for adult use and medical use. Medical use is already approved, and now this is the final component of that for recreational use. Now, after several deadline extensions, the Mexican government now has until April 30th of this year to enact legalization, which leads us to where we are today. Now, there are minor details to work out before Obrador signs the bill, things like licensing, foreign investment, THC potency caps in edibles and e-cigarettes, and things like that. It's minute, but it's going to take a little time to work through. It's coming, and recreational use is on the way, but it's still going to be a little bit of the way off. But now, I want to look at the medicinal side of the Mexican market. Now, as you can see, the Mexican market started with next to nothing last year, as its medicinal market was really slow to be implemented. They had to get infrastructure together. It was a very arduous process. However, 2021's expected market value is about $3.5 million, and that's going to jump, expected to jump $54.5 million by 2024. That's a 1,400% jump in the country's market size for just medicinal. It's a pretty robust jump in market size for just a short amount of time. Now, if we look at the adult use market, one stat that jumps out to me is the fact that Mexico will now become the largest country in the world to legalize cannabis on the national level. Two other countries here in the Western Hemisphere have already legalized, that being Canada and Uruguay. The combined total population of both those countries is about 41 million. The population of Mexico, nearly 130 million. So Canada and Uruguay combined are less than a third of Mexico's total population. Now, it makes Mexico a huge market for cannabis. Now, according to New Frontier Data, a data research firm, Mexico will open the doors to about 1.4 million customers and have a total addressable market of about $2 billion. Further estimates suggest the Mexican marijuana industry could be worth as much as $3.2 billion in the coming years. The bill in its current form gives priority to small farmers and indigenous people for licensing. In fact, those are the only groups that can be granted more than one license. And about 40% of the cultivation licenses in the first 5 years of legalization will be reserved for communities disproportionately impacted by criminal enforcement of marijuana use and other drug use. It also opens the door for larger cannabis companies to gain what's called an integral license, which would give them access to the market all the way, the entire supply chain from seed to sale. A company can come in and have direct access to all of that. Now, one big issue with legalization is that is the support that it has in Mexico. I was looking at a story in Politico, and a survey was done by El Financiero, which is the financier, in Mexico in July of 2020, and it found that only 58% of the Mexican population actually opposed the legalization bill. Only 38% supported it, and the rest were undecided. Additionally, the country's Roman Catholic Church has come out against the legislation when it was first passed by the Senate in November. Now, remember, this legislation was court-ordered. Not because it was supported by a majority of the population as it is here in the US. It's because the court basically told them to. If the court hadn't have told them to, we might not be talking about Mexican legalization right now. Now, that leads me to kind of what could this mean for the US and its legalization? Well, similar to what I've said about some states legalizing can apply to nations. When states around you legalize cannabis, it may take some time, but you start to realize the revenue that you're missing out by not legalizing cannabis. Just think of the West Coast after Oregon legalized marijuana in 2014. In just 2 years following, Washington, California, and Nevada all legalized recreational use. Now, back in November, I discussed 5 other states that could legalize cannabis in the immediate future because of the November 2020 elections after 5 states voted to legalize. You can check that out on our YouTube page. Now, the headwind here is that Congress is all about decriminalizing cannabis. They have no problem with ending federal penalties and scrapping past convictions, but they're not nearly as excited about full legalization. Now, with former California Attorney General Javier Becerra, I believe is how you pronounce it, is now the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and Merrick Garland is now the Attorney General, there could be some help for the current cannabis market in terms of policy. We could be seeing the Health and Human Services kind of ease and maybe refute an earlier 2015 report that said cannabis marijuana had no medical purpose whatsoever. And Merrick Garland has also gone on record by saying that to fight states legalizing cannabis using federal money is kind of a waste of time and a waste of resources. So we could be seeing a little bit of leeway there. But I think we would see probably another Central or South American country move to legalize before the U.S. Remember, legalization all remains up to Congress, and that's not a body of government that moves quickly or in agreement. So it's just one of those things to consider. I'm skeptical about federal legalization happening this year. Mexico could be a tipping point. Another discussion is what companies will benefit from Mexican legalization. This is a little more tricky. It's easy to say that a company that already has kind of inroads in Mexico has a leg up, and part of that is true. However, you have to understand how the licenses are going to be broken out and who's going to be allowed to cultivate. Mexico is focusing mostly on a very homegrown type of cultivation. So they're going to be focusing on those farms and those communities that grow in Mexico, not ones that ship in from other places or that try to import. I think you could see large companies like Canopy Growth, maybe the pro forma company of Afria and Tilray, they could stand to benefit because they have the resources to expand into the market. It's not just about just planning a shop and going. You've got to have the resources to comply with the law in order to expand smart into the market. Cannabis companies with a high percentage of cash on hand compared to liabilities could also try to swing into Mexico. So that's something you might want to look for if you're looking to maybe invest and try to find a company that could capitalize on Mexican legalization. Find those companies that have a high percentage of cash on hand and a lower percentage of liability, and they could have the potential to expand into the market. Now, also remember, it's going to take time for the Mexican market to get established. This is a country starting out from not much, in fact, nothing at all. They're going to rely a little bit on their medical cannabis infrastructure, but it's a little bit different and much broader. So even though the law is passed, setting up that infrastructure could take months or even longer before you actually start seeing legal adult use cannabis sales in Mexico. Now, with that said, I do want to look at our Money Markets Cannabis watch list. I didn't do this last week, but I'm going to do it this week. Cannabis stocks took a hit before Mexican lawmakers advanced the legalization bill. Our watch list continues to perform very well. Our average total gain for our watch list holdings is up to 48%. Here's a breakdown of our watch list. Scott's Miracle Grow had a great quarterly report and has solid sales, and that's pushed the fertilizer company even higher. SMG is up 38% since I recommended it back in September. Now, remember, this stock was down as much as around 20% when we first put it on in September, and now it's up to almost 40%. Schweitzer Mounted International, like SMG, Schweitzer had a strong quarterly report, driving its stock price higher. SWM is now up 61.5% since I added it to the list in September. Perkin Elmer, this stock had me a little worried as it was approaching a break-even point, but recent run-up of cannabis stocks has pushed it back on a little more solid footing. It's not where I like it, but it's much better than where it was. It was the gain was only about 0.5% at one point, but now it's moved up 5.6% since September of 2020. Turning Point Brands trades under TPB. This traditional tobacco company has been one of the strongest performers on the list. It's now up more than 72% since I added it to the list in October. Grow Generation, this was the first real pure cannabis play I added to the watch list, and it really hasn't disappointed at all. The stock was up as much as 115%. It pared back a little bit as the sector rotation took effect into the first part of this month. But now it's started to storm back ahead. Grow generation is now up 92% and change since I added it in November. I think it's going to reach back into triple digits here in the near future. Planet 13 Holdings, another pure cannabis play that started to dip whenever into negative territory when I added it to the list back in January. However, it is up. It is up strong. Its California renovations for its California operation is going well. It is now up 18.4% since January. Now, High Tide Incorporated. This is the most recent addition. I added that earlier this month. You can check out our marijuana market update from about 2 weeks ago, and I'll explain why. The stock tested resistance at our price paid of about 63 cents per share. However, it's picked up a little bit of steam and is now up about a little over 3% since I added it earlier this month. It was down. Now it's moving back up again, and I have some high hopes for High Tide. I'll keep watching the market for any potential changes to make, or if there's a company to add to the list. So make sure you keep it locked right here, either on moneyandmarkets.com or on our YouTube channel, and I will let you know as soon as anything changes. Now, remember, I want to know how your cannabis stocks are performing. Did you follow any of our watch list recommendations? If so, let me know. Email me at feedback@moneymarkets.com. We'll put the email address down below there. Coming up this week, we'll have much more. We'll have the Bull and the Bear podcast, our Money Markets Week Ahead, and a lot more than that. We've got a couple new things we've already started on our YouTube channel. You can see there, Ask Adam Anything. That's where we have a Q&A with our Chief Investment Strategist, Adam Odell. You can ask him any question, and he will answer it. You can also use that feedback email and email a question to Adam if you'd like. Also, Investing with Charles, Green Zone Fortune's co-editor, Charles Sizemore, has started his own series where he's going to talk about stocks he is looking at. That is Investing with Charles. You can check out all that on our YouTube channel. Just make sure you just log in. Make sure you get notified each and every time that we put out a new video, so you can get a leg up on when those videos come out. Check out moneymarkets.com each and every day for new content that provides safe, sound, smart, and simple profitable investment information for you. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money Markets, host of the Bull and the Bear podcast and the Marijuana Market Update. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.